is Tuesday, September 20th, 2016. The Board of Selectmen's meeting is officially open. If we could all rise and please pledge our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, to go over the agenda, we have 3 sets of meeting minutes to approve. We have no invited guests this evening. Under recognition, do we have anything under recognition?
Sorry.
No, sir. Okay. We have the manager's report. Under discussion items, we will review an application for a road race for October 30th. We will discuss a donation that was made to the COA. We will discuss appointing 2 potential COA members. We'll have discussion on the proposed vehicle use policy. We will be discussing the plowing of private ways with respect to the agreements we have with them. We will be discussing a contract to purchase road salt. We will review the draft list as it stands right now of warrant articles for the special town meeting in November. We have a couple of old invoices that we need to address from the police department. We will discuss potential invoices for 2 condemned buildings or houses that the town of Upton has worked on, and we will review an application for a haunted trail with respect to Heritage Park. We will adjourn the regular session meeting minutes to go into executive session meeting minutes under Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21A3. We will adjourn from then and go into executive session under Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21, Exception Number 3. I'll read those in depth when we get down to that time. We'll come out of executive session, only to go back into open session to adjourn the meeting. Have I missed anything?
No.
Okay.
No.
Gentlemen, we have meeting minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we accept the meeting minutes set September 6, 2016 as submitted.
Second that motion.
Please show as unanimous action of the board. We have executive session.
You want me to make it, or you want to?
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we accept the executive session meetings as written from September 6th.
Second.
Please show that as unanimous action of the board.
And I make a motion that we accept the executive session minutes from September 13 as written.
Second.
Please show that as unanimous action of the board. Thank you. Okay. No invited guests. We have no recognition. Manager's report, please. Madam Town Manager.
In your packet was the updated list of nuisance properties. We have taken a few off the list. We added 2 to it and met last week to go over our next action steps. I can go over it in any detail with you tonight if you would like. I do want to note for you that we have twice received an anonymous letter for people who are concerned about number 104 Westboro Road. It's a property that's not currently being inhabited. It's just before Eames Lane on the left-hand side if you're going towards Westboro. The grass is mowed. It does have issues with a septic system that needs to be replaced. The inside of the house is gutted and not habitable at the moment. I wish I knew who to get back to because we'd like to tell them what we're doing, and we are following up with the owners. So if anyone's listening to the meeting, please call us or let us know your concerns so we can follow up for you. Our electricity energy aggregation project continues to move forward. The Department of Public Utilities had their public hearing on it last week in Boston. I did not attend because it was suggested that a 10-minute meeting wasn't worthwhile driving and parking and going back again. But there were no issues raised, and so we wait for the DPU to issue their approval. Hopefully that will come in about 30 days, and then we can get to the real business of going out to bid on that project. So that's where that stands. Good news on 2 grants. We got a small grant of $3,500 for recycling. Congratulations to the Board of Health. And we had jointly applied for monies through CMRPC to work on the annual report that's due for our Green Community Program, that $3,750. That will provide the technical assistance that the committee needs to get that report done rather than having to do it themselves. So that's good news. Yesterday, letters went out to 133 property owners in the Village Center District, both ends of that. The map, the frequently asked questions, and invitation to the meeting next week on the 27th. It's also on our website. I know Upton Daily's picked it up. So we'll post you guys for that meeting next week for you to hopefully attend, and we'll be having cable, we'll be taping it, so we can replay it for people who might miss it. But just want to make sure everyone was aware of that. Both Planning Board and Conservation have signed off on the Grove Street parking lot, so at the next meeting, we'll be bringing you the budget for that. We're looking at doing a combination of some in-house work and contracting out what we can't do ourselves to try and keep the costs down. The plan does require a catch basin and some equipment that we hadn't anticipated when we first just thought we'd pave over that area and maybe put up a guardrail. I don't want to throw out a number before we finalized it, but we'll talk about how we're going to handle that next time. Going to be doing a project in Oak Knoll Lane next week to take out the center median grassy area and repave it. That's one of the areas where we had concerns by residents about the curbing and its state. And we've reached out to the neighbors, let them know that it's happening, and start that on Monday and hopefully finish that up in about a week. I'm headed to the Men's Club tomorrow night. I'm going to be their speaker this month to talk to them about volunteer opportunities for some of our boards that we need. We would love to have some people to step up to. They also wanted to hear about the TIP project and the Village Center bylaw, so I will be hopefully enthralling them with all of that before they have dinner.
It's a rough crowd, so don't let them get the best of you.
I'll try not to. So, and Heritage Day is coming up, October 1st. The book sale, the road race, it's always a fun weekend, so hopefully people that have that on their calendars. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Under discussion item 6.1, in front of us, and or actually attached on our computer, is an application for a road race. Mendon Upton Educational Foundation has requested a road race to be held on October 30th, 10 a.m., 2016. In the packet, you have the applications, as well as all the appropriate sign-offs from the police, fire, DPW, and town manager. Any questions or concerns?
No, sir.
No.
Okay, I would entertain a motion.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I motion that the board approve the road race for the Mendon Upton Educational Foundation to be held on October 30th, starting at 10 a.m.
Second the motion.
Please show that as unanimous action of the board. Thank you. Under 6.2, accept the donation to the Council on Aging. In your packet dated September 6th, 2016, is a copy of a letter that was sent from Ms. Nowicki, our COA director, to the town manager with respect to a very generous $300 donation from an Upton resident who would prefer that their donation remain anonymous. Part of our policy is that we are informed of these donations and we make motions to accept accordingly. So, any questions, concerns?
No.
Okay. I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that the board, with great acceptance, with great gratitude, accept the amount of $300 from the citizen or citizens who have awarded this. And with the motion, please ask the Council on Aging Director to please send written gratitude and thank you to the parties for their generosity.
Second the motion.
Please show us your unanimous action of the board and thank you. Okay, under 6.3, in your packet, we have two individuals. We have Lori Fantini, who has requested that she be appointed to the Council on Aging Board. We also have a letter, we have her application, we also have a letter from Ms. Nowicki with her approval or her commending Ms. Fantini for stepping forward and being a potential board member. We also have another potential individual, Josephine McLaughlin, who also would like to be a member of the COA. And we also have a letter dated September 14, 2016, from Ms. Nowicki with respect to her positive comments with respect to Ms. McLaughlin. Have I missed anything, Madam Town Manager? Have I missed anything?
You've not.
Okay. Any comments, questions, or concerns?
No?
Okay. Okay. So with that, I would entertain motions.
Mr. Chairman, based upon the letter and certainly the endorsement by the Council on Aging Director, I would motion that the board approve, make appointment to Laurie Fantini and Josephine McLaughlin to the Council on Aging, Board on Council on Aging, for a term to expire May of 2017.
Second the motion.
Please show that as unanimous action of the board, and thank you very much for stepping forward and being part of this very important board. Thank you. Okay, item 6.4. This has been on our agenda for the last 2 meetings, the proposed vehicle use policy. We have all reviewed it, looked at it, sent our comments to the town manager, and I would just have it up for discussion at this moment.
Mr. Chairman, I submitted mine. I would ask first, I guess the question would be, is the board in agreement with the recommended changes I submitted? They seem pretty clear. You actually, town manager actually forwarded my actual memo to her. So, if you may, I will go back and just revisit I asked for all vehicle stops to be recorded in the instance that somebody has to stop a vehicle and the citizen registers any kind of a complaint. I think it's important that there is a log so that the town has it on record, because people sometimes, I hate to use the word, but they insinuate, make assumptions based upon an issue. Somebody could be stopping at a hardware store to pick up a supply for the town of Upton, and it may be on their way home in Grafton, and somebody's going to assume they're doing their shopping. So that was why I asked that. The other one is with the family member for coverage. I have concerns about a family member being in the town vehicle. And the last one being certainly that the prohibition of any alcohol or purchase of any alcohol while in the town vehicle.
Okay, do you have any questions or comments or concerns with respect to Bob's? Okay, well, I have no problem with
Can I
that. Yes.
make a comment?
Yes, absolutely.
I think generally, most times, family members aren't in cars, but I know the 2 chiefs' contracts do allow them to use that, and those would be exempt from this. I think, at least maybe the policy could state that with rare exceptions or something along the lines, that should not be at all a regular occurrence, especially for town-owned vehicles. Just a suggestion.
No, I get that part of it. Obviously, they're on call 24/7,
Yeah.
and they need to be able to respond, and that's the purpose of having the vehicle. My concern is for transportation of an issue in a general nature.
Yep.
Any issues with that statement, with any?
No.
Okay. Gary?
So, after looking at the policy, I had a couple concerns or questions that I wouldn't mind discussing with you guys. My thing was, like, a lot of these cars are unmarked. What's your guys' opinion? I'm not sure if this is the right policy for that, is to have like a little town seal on the vehicle, so the townspeople actually know whose cars are whose, and that we own it.
Yes.
Don't most all vehicles that an individual use of town property have a seal?
They all do,
Do,
except
except-
mine and the fire chief's, and the fire chief's contract says it shall be unmarked. So the only vehicle that we're
And
talking,
the police chiefs, right?
and then, sorry, the police chiefs.
Yeah.
So the only vehicle we're really talking about that wouldn't already be marked is mine, or the one assigned to me. I have a white plate on it. I can promise you I do not drive it anywhere that isn't town business. I park it in my driveway, but I understand the board's concern, if there is one.
Some of the other things I noticed when I was reading, it was talking about the regular basis of a driving record. I was wondering if we want to define that more. Is it quarterly, annually, semi-annually? It just says on a regular basis. I mean, that's really up to
I think typically, just to try to answer what we do, if we're aware that someone has had a driving issue, we would check a record. Otherwise, I don't think we would do it more than annually unless there was a reason that we were privy to, but that's up to the board.
Would you be happy with annually, or?
Yeah, I just think it needs to be spelled out, because I think regular basis just is very vague.
May I make?
Yes.
To put down annually and to put in a clarification, annually unless warranted for any other means.
Yep.
In other words, if there be an infraction of any kind.
Yep.
But traditionally, it would be guaranteed annually with any other consideration warranted.
It's easy enough to add to our procedure.
Yep.
And I was just, get a little bit more depth in that. What are we looking for? Just speeding tickets, parking tickets, moving violations? Do we need to define that, or?
I would ask the chief to run it based on we have everyone's driver's license. I would ask him to give them all of those and ask him for a report. I wouldn't try to
Oh, so
narrow
the
it.
police chief would be doing not this, not the
Oh,
individual?
no, I wouldn't
Okay.
have the authority to do it.
Because the way I read it was the department head, so I thought every department head would be doing this.
I would have them all, I would make them aware, okay, it's July, we're doing this, and then I would ask the chief to do it so that we got a complete record.
So, my next one was number 4. With number 4, let's see what paragraph that was now. I saw that. Papers are in order. 1, 2, 3. Section 3. I didn't know if we want, on the last paragraph in section 3, when you talk about the driving records, I didn't know if we wanted to have, add like the Board of Selectmen have some say in it too?
I think my own opinion is department head should be responsible enough to manage the personnel within their own group. I think the whole intent of the structure we have under the Home Rule Initiative that we established was to eliminate the micromanagement of the board, and I think the department head, not for any explanation other than an example, but the DPW director certainly should be capable and is capable of being able to make a necessary appropriation as to whether the individual has a driving problem, shouldn't drive, and I'd like to leave it at that level. I don't see going higher to us. Obviously, there's always an appeal that can come to us in any process, but
I didn't know if you wanted to spell out the appeal process.
I just think it's overkill, my own opinion.
Again, I concur with Selectman Fleming. I mean, I think, the department head is more than capable of, I think, identifying if their staff has a problem, and then, we will be communicated with anyway, so.
The next one was in the vehicle classifications for the 24 hours. I didn't know if we should add the police lieutenant.
Weigh in on that.
Yes.
Currently, the police lieutenant does occasionally take a vehicle home, depending on his shift or if there's a case he's working. I think adding it makes some sense, but I think if, in the future, if a future police lieutenant didn't live in town, we might want to rethink it, just because if the whole goal is a quick response by someone nearby, if they live in Sutton or something, that might not be useful. So, I mean, a policy can always be changed by the board. That's just my input.
Would you be comfortable adding with the approval of chief of police?
Yes.
And let the chief make that decision?
Yeah. I think that goes to what you just said.
Yeah.
Then, we already kind of talked about 6. And then I kind of had the same concern with alcohol. And it's section 5, where it says employees are prohibited from possessing open alcohol.
Yeah.
I think it should say any.
And the alcohol.
That makes sense.
No,
Yep.
that's all I got.
I'm fine.
Great, okay. We all okay with all the changes? Yeah. Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the bylaw with said changes.
Sorry.
Mr. Chairman, I would motion that the board approve approve and endorse the proposed vehicle use policy, subject to the changes and approvals made this evening.
Second the motion.
And please show as unanimous action of the board. Thank you.
I was just going to say, we'll update it and have it for you to sign.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Town Manager, for putting this together, and thank you, gentlemen, for your true valid comments. Okay. Okay. So, motion to approve the plowing of private ways for the winter of 2016, 2017. Hopefully, we won't need this. But, as we do every year, and I think, and it's really great to see, I think we did a very good job in communicating, and we continue to communicate with with key individuals on private ways to ensure that their private ways meet the safe conditions as stated by the DPW director and the highway supervisor. I know I went by Breton Road the other day and I saw quite a bit of coal patch / hot top on that road, so everybody's really doing a good job, maintaining the private ways to allow us to ensure that the equipment that we put down their private ways will not break. So I think Shore Drive, Breton Road have all been satisfactory, so I think we're ready to approve the private ways passage.
If I may comment?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, in addition to that, it was what, fall of 2014? 15, that we initiated this, and I think we need to commend the citizens because of their cooperative effort. Everybody jumped in on this, and it would have been problematic hadn't they supported this process the way it exists. So it's a win-win for everybody, and certainly they have the advantage of getting their streets cleared, not only for public safety, but certainly for convenience. So I think it was a very good policy.
I agree. Gary, any comments?
No, sir.
Okay. Entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I motion we approve the plowing of private ways as stated for the winter of 2016 and 2017.
You want to second that motion?
I'll second it, yeah. Mr. Chairman, I'll second that motion.
Please show us unanimous action of the board. Thank you.
Is already on the next one.
Under 6.6, again, hopefully something we won't need. Motion to award the contract to purchase road salt. In your packet, we have a letter dated September 14th, 2016, to the town manager from DPW Director Vinnie Roy, requesting that we enter into a contract with Easton Minerals for up to 2,500 tons. The town of Upton, along with Shrewsbury and Shrewsbury along with 17 other municipal members went out on a bid opening and they did 4 vendors of rock salt. With that, I believe Easton Minerals was the low bidder. Happily, it was great to see that we are paying $59, or potentially paying $59 a ton this year, which is down $8 a ton from last year, which is great to see. So we have that as a recommendation from the DPW director as well as the town manager. Have I missed anything? Okay. Any comments, concerns?
Nope.
No?
I would entertain a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that the board authorize the town manager to enter into contract with Eastern Minerals of Lowell, Mass. in the amount of $59 a ton, not to exceed a contract value of $147,500 for road salt for the town DPW.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that motion.
And please show that as unanimous action of the board. And again, hopefully we will not need it. 6.7, review the current list of special town meeting articles. We had a list presented to us at the last meeting. The comment made was we moved one item, the offsetting the tax rate up to number 1, which was done. And I think we added 3 more to the warrant here, as I see it.
4, actually.
4 more,
Because
okay.
there's one I got yesterday.
Okay, and the Fisk Mill Bridge is
Yes.
on this, so it looks like it's a little substantially lower than what we thought, so, Madam Town Manager.
It is. Let me see if there's anything else above that I wanted to just comment on for you. No, I guess that, I have clarified the amount of the town hall debt in number 15. That's from the treasurer collector. As you know, that's an annual approval of that, and that comes from CPC funds. The library would like to see the bathrooms upgrade on the first floor of the Knowlton building, Christine building. They're looking for $5,000 just to try to give it a little bit of a facelift. It wasn't done when the rest of the building was done. We're still working on that number. Fisk Mill Bridge, yes, we originally had assumed it was $500,000. That was when we had a different engineer look at it, and that was a complete replacement of all aspects of the bridge. I handed out to you tonight a memo that we received from Weston and Sampson late last month, suggesting that their estimate is $453,000, and that would be split between us and the town of Milford. Milford is going for a special town meeting on October 3rd. They are going to budget $300,000. While this is the engineer's estimate, they still suggest we both add a little bit to it, just because the peculiarities of the bidding process can sometimes get away from you. So I put it down for $280,000. I think we have to, my suggestion is we need to wait to see what our free cash is and if we can afford to do this at this point. We've also looked at the various grant suggestions that were given to us by McGovern's office, and I can send you those details separately. They basically suggested that other than using our Chapter 90 money or getting on a future tip, probably 10 years from now, that's not likely.
Right.
And that fixing the rails, which is the most immediate issue, they can't even put a number to what that would cost, if it's even truly possible to try and take and put rails on concrete that's failing today. So we can talk about all of that in more detail elsewhere, but I just wanted you to know that we have an update, and it, even though it doesn't seem like it, is actually better news. Number 18, the treasurer collector, as you know, we now own 28 Hartford Avenue North, and the property is almost impossible to get into because it was filled with a lot of materials from the previous owner. He wants to auction that property off at some point, and really no one can get in to properly see it. So we're gathering prices to have someone come in and clean it out. And, you know, we're hopeful that someone would like to do it for nothing, but I think that that's perhaps unrealistic. And also do some minor work to the yard to make sure that it's safe for people to come on. So that's a plug number, and obviously, when we auction it off, any cost the town would have would be part of the auction low bid price. So that's a little bit of a placeholder at the moment. And then there's 2 citizen petitions that we're tracking. One we received just yesterday from a resident of Sadler Road, wants to petition to change the zoning bylaw to allow cell towers to be as high as 200 feet. The current zoning bylaw limits them to 150 feet. So we're checking the signatures on that. And then the other one, I haven't received the petition yet, but based on calls from interested residents, there's an interest in having a non-binding resolution to say that we don't want a cell tower, gas pipeline to run through Upton that's been proposed by Spectra. It's been, some other towns have done something similar, some are for it, so want people to be able to take a position on that. So I'm anticipating that will come in. So right now we're at 20, but again, we don't know our free cash situation yet or where our new growth is, so it's hard to say that all or some of these could be funded.
Questions?
Yes, first question that comes to mind is, have we scheduled this for a date and that we have to reconvene this meeting and lay it on the table and take other issues up at another night? This is going to be quite lengthy as I'm looking at it. There's a number of debatable issues here for this town meeting.
We haven't, I mean, it's certainly if there's things you don't want to take up, you know, it's a wish from me that we could spend more money on roads, but perhaps we can't.
No, well, I'm looking more at the petition articles and some of the others, and certainly the zoning bylaw. I think it would benefit us to look at a night sometime after November 15th as a backup.
Sure.
For an extension of the meeting, because this is going to be lengthy. The other question I have is the offset of the tax rate increase. Do we know what that number is?
We don't, because we don't know where what all of our new growth was and what the values are.
So we're waiting for the growth number from the treasurer collector?
No, we're waiting, it has to be approved by the Department of Revenue. Our recertification has been approved, and that was the first step. I talked to one of the assessors yesterday. She thinks hopefully by mid-October, and that's about the time usually when free cash comes in. So I'm going to draft a warrant for you for the next meeting, and then really, and go over it with the FinCom, but really it comes down to later October when we finalize what can we afford, what do we want to do. I mean, really, we don't have to do roads, OPEB, we don't have to pay down the fire truck, but, you know, if the financial picture is such, maybe you'll want to do that.
Well, the reason I'm asking is we have to post 2 weeks before the 15th, so by, let's say November 1st, we have to have a drop dead for this warrant to be posted.
I would
So-
say, if you are willing to do so, we would have an extra quick meeting the last week of October and sign this.
Because,
So we'll meet the 20th, will be pretty finalized, but you may want to either remove some things or move them around.
it's at the chairman's pleasure, but I
Yeah,
think that might need to be,
I think so.
yeah.
Yeah, it usually is.
Again, that was going to be my question as far as certification of free cash. That usually happens right on early, mid-October, correct?
I need to find out where the treasurer's office is on balancing cash and posting trust fund
Okay.
revenue. But the town accountant will be here tonight, so I'll ask him.
Okay.
And the treasurer then.
So, whoops, excuse me. My concern is obviously the timeline.
Right.
Sure, it's always a little tight towards the end there.
Any comments?
No, I actually agree with him. I don't want to be rushing through it.
And again, going back to the Fisk Mill Bridge, you and I will still be pursuing federal
Absolutely.
inquiries, as people saw, hopefully, when Senator Moore and Representative Meridian was here, we somewhat drilled them how important it is and to keep their ear to the asphalt with respect to any grant opportunities for this bridge. So we've got everybody out there looking for us, but we still want to, kind of be the squeaky wheel on this one.
Can I quote that? Ear to the asphalt?
Ear to the
That
asphalt.
was pretty clever.
Yeah, to hear the truck.
Yes.
So, okay. And closing, the warrant closes on
The 30th
the 30th.
of September.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions, comments on that?
No, sir.
Okay. We are at 6.8. In front of us are two invoices that I believe add up to, tell me how much they add up to?
Not much.
96.39.
9.
$96.39 that somewhat slipped through the cracks with respect to automotive parts, with respect to the police department. These were purchased and received under last fiscal year. In speaking, I believe Tom Manager did speak to the chief, and he has remedied the process in which this will not happen again. So we have, there's two ways we can pay this. One would be at a vote of the town meeting, or the other one would be out of trust fund accounts. What would be the discretion?
I don't want to see a town meeting vote for $96.39.
I didn't think so.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we appropriate from the William Knowlton Trust Fund the amount of $96.39 to offset the police invoice costs from previous fiscal year.
The second motion.
Please show that as unanimous action of the board. Thank you. Okay, item 6.9. We have two pieces of property that the town has been heavily involved in. One was at 92 Hopkinton Road, the other one was at 60 School Street, that the town incurred costs to deem those pieces of property safe, both in a health and safety aspect. In order for the town to try to recoup the money back, what council has advised us to do is to, number one, send an invoice to the current owners of the building, giving them a certain time frame in which to pay the outstanding town charges with respect to their property. If the owners cannot pay, then it does give us a right to assess a lien onto the property with respect to trying to recoup the funds that the town invested in these pieces of property. So what you have in front of you are the 2 invoice documents that the town manager has drafted on the town's behalf. Have I missed anything? Okay. Any comments?
It's self-explanatory, very good detail in recapping the costs, by the way. Clearly defines where the expenditures were and where we incurred the costs, so no questions.
Okay.
No questions.
Okay. I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would motion that the board authorize the release of these invoices for 60 School Street in the amount of $27,844.12, and for 92 Hopkinton Road in the amount of $15,528.78.
Mr. Chairman, I second that motion.
Please show that as unanimous action of the board. Thank you. Okay. The last item on our discussion item docket is item 610, which is an application for a haunted house trail at Heritage Park. This is something that the Rose Garden did last year, and from what I understand was a true success and a lot of fun. And the owner of the Rose Garden is here to answer any questions if need be. I don't think he would like to do it for 3 nights, which is October 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. Last year, it was the opinion of the board that, believing that this was going to be a true success, and with the limited parking down around the Rose Garden, we felt as if that there'd be a lot of people parking either in the town parking across the street or in the VFW parking, and being 140 is the road it is, the safety concern with respect to pedestrians crossing that road. I believe last year we provided a light tower and a police officer for that 1-night event. Where this is a 3-night event, I would entertain discussions on what the board would like to do with respect to light tower and police coverage for that.
Mr. Chairman, it's my understanding that the chief of police is not in favor of using regular on-staff personnel for the use of public safety. Therefore, I would be supportive of extra detail, and it would be my recommendation that the board appropriate from the William Knowlton Trust Fund, primarily because of the fact that this is going to one of Upton's strongest charities, the Upton Bloomer Girls, and to have them incur a cost out of the money raised for the charity seems contradictory. So I would be in favor of appropriating money from the trust fund to offset their costs of running this. It's a win-win, it's good for the community, the charity wins, and everybody has a good time from what I understand, so that's my position.
And I believe, Madam Town Manager, we're talking the cost about, for special detail, about $560?
If the town provides it itself and it isn't structured as a town detail under the contract, it would be slightly more. The chief estimates $720 for 3 nights.
Okay. So it'd be about a little $700 to take it on the trust fund.
Yes,
Would you concur?
I concur, yeah.
Okay. I have no problem with that. So I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to make a different motion, so. Mr. Chairman, I would motion that the Board of Selectmen authorize from the William Knowlton Trust Fund up to the amount of $1,000 if it need be for traffic detail and any lighting that is required for public safety for the Haunted Trail event, which is also to approve as part of the motion on the days of October 22nd, 23rd, and 24th through Heritage Park.
Second it.
Please show it as unanimous action of the board. Thank you, Mr. Campbell, for this.
That makes sense.
Thank you, Michael, for this great idea and great cause. Thank you. Thank you. Okay,
Things easy.
meeting look-ahead topics. We don't have any other new business. At the moment, we don't have any departmental reports. We included in the packet, there was some different correspondences that was included. So before we go into executive session, I would open it up. Would anybody have anything to say? Seeing none, I will make
I'd
a...
like to thank you guys, Paul and Richard, thank you guys for making that an offer to cover that. That's a really nice thing to do, and I appreciate that happening on me.
Yeah.
But because of the fund, I'm doing the fundraiser, but I'm sure the Bloomer Girls, that's money out of that pocket.
Yep.
100% of the proceeds are going toward the Bloomer Girls.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for
so much.
generating.
Appreciate that.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, so I would motion that the board go into executive session under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, 3, to discuss strategies with respect to litigation where an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the board if the chair so declares. We will adjourn out of that executive session to go into second executive session of the Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21, Exception Number 3, to discuss strategies with respect to litigation if an open meeting may have detrimental effect on the litigating position of the public body and the chair so declares. We will adjourn out of executive session for the purposes of just to adjourn out of the open session meeting. Jim Brochu, aye.
Gary Doherty, aye.
Robert Fleming, aye.
We are in executive session.